Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Just want to let y'all know real quick before we get started, I have officially begun work on a sequel to our Heavy Metal Super Smash Bros. Tournament from last March, and I could use some suggestions as to what type of matchups and fights you'd like to see in that tournament. You know, do you want to see old fighters returning, doing a rematch perhaps, like a rematch between Euronymous and Varg, or Axl Rose and Slash? Would you like to see a bunch of new fighters, new fights, you know, like maybe, I don't know, spitballing off the top of my head, Danzig versus Henry Rollins, or maybe you want to see some YouTubers fight it out, like Quest for Metal versus Jamie Horsley, Music of Destruction versus Zach D? Let me know. I am open to all kinds of fucking suggestions. I want to hear them. That's all. Thank you for your time and whatever suggestions you offer, and stay tuned because we will very likely be doing this tournament live here on the channel within the next 2 to 3 weeks. More on that when the time comes. Now, without further ado, let's talk about Hooded fucking Menace. For just about 14 years now, Hooded Menace has been responsible for some consistently gnarly fucking death doom. Nothing especially revolutionary or mind-blowing or life-changing, not in my opinion at least. They occupy a territory similar to that of Cannibal Corpse or the Black Dahlia Murder or Aborted or Overkill, making pretty much the same type of album over and over and over again, but I haven't really felt the need to complain because everything they've released has been so consistently good. As such, I've been pretty pumped for the Tritonus Bell, the band's 6th studio album, which I'm happy to report is every bit as evil and disgusting and gnarly and filthy as I wanted and as I expected, with a few subtle little twists and turns to make it just a wee bit more spicy for the Hooded Menace veterans like myself. The first thing that stands out to me is the sound mix and the production value of this record. Put very simply, Hooded Menace have never sounded this good on a studio album. It's consistently a very cold, mysterious, and ominous and smoky record. The guitar tone is really dense and beefy. The riffs themselves are consistently thicker than fucking oatmeal. The percussion, the bass work, the vocals are so gnarly and evil. Like, these guys really do sonically emphasize both the death and the doom in their death doom 100% of the fucking time. Most death doom bands would be satisfied with throwing in some slower song structures and some murkier sound effects. Not Hooded Menace. They're like really embracing pure fucking evil on this thing. The track Chime Diabolicus, for instance, is one hell of a chunky death doom banger. There are riffs all over the fucking place, and I really like how this track actually starts off with weirdly a somewhat upbeat kind of thrash metal momentum, before then transitioning quite seamlessly into the more typical death doom that we now pretty much expect consistently of Hooded Menace. There are some great keyboard and vocal effects that are very subtle but do a great job at making this feel a little bit more immersive and mysterious and supernatural, not to mention every single riff in this track is just fucking killer. Lots of great doomy twin guitar, lots of nasty old-school death metal brutality, lots of great groove-laden passages. What more could you possibly want? It's fucking great. Now, by the end of this track, it is fair to say that even the most casual Hooded Menace or Death Doom fan may form a blueprint in their mind as to how the rest of the album is going to play out. One could even argue that the album is somewhat formulaic, somewhat repetitive, and a truly cynical metalhead could argue that the album is one-dimensional and predictable. And in making this argument, you would not be objectively wrong, but you would be missing the fucking point. As I said before, these guys occupy territory not too dissimilar from that of Cannibal Corpse, the Black Dahlia Murder, Aborted, and so on and so forth. Yes, it's kind of meat and potatoes, but it's meat and potatoes seasoned and cooked to fucking near perfection. Yes, it's a formula, but it's a formula that still fucking works, quite frankly. And to Hooded Menace's credit, they do throw in a couple extra spices and flavors to make the Tritonus Bell a touch more bold and unique than some of their previous works. Take, for instance, the instrumental passages of Teutonic Exordium and Instruments of Somber Finality. These tracks weirdly have a bit of an epic neoclassical flair to them, packing some of the most flamboyant but exciting guitar work across the entire album. The track Blood Ornaments as well shows Hooded Menace indulging ever so slightly in some classic death metal influence, bearing some riffs and melodic passages that would not be out of place on an early Dark Tranquillity or even a Grave or an Entombed record. The final moments of Scattered into Dark as well introduce some darker, edgier kind of spoken word poetry alongside some very brooding riffery. It almost feels like something pulled out of a gothic metal song. And then there's the band's surprisingly really cheeky cover of The Torture Never Stops from Wasp. Sure, it's kinda dumb, but dumb fun, you know? And I would much rather have dumb fun over just plain dumb. I don't know. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I really don't have any major complaints, so you know what? I'm gonna go with a 4 out of 5. From start to finish, this thing is just packed with gnarly, evil riffs. It's super fun, it's super heavy, it's consistent, it's engaging. There's not a moment of fat that I feel needs to be trimmed off, not a moment of filler that I feel needs to be removed. Yes, it's a little formulaic, yes, it's a little repetitive, but you know what? It's still really enjoyable despite that, which itself is a very impressive feat. There aren't a lot of bands where I can sit down and be like, I know everything that's about to happen on this album, even though I'm listening to it now for the first time, and I'm still enjoying the fuck out of it. The only other bands that come to mind would be like the aforementioned Cannibal Corpse and Black Dahlia Murder. Revocation comes to mind. That's honestly kind of it. I don't know, maybe Iron Regan. But they haven't released an album in fucking forever, so who knows. The point is, Hooded Menace, killer Finnish death doom. It fucking rules. It's gnarly, it's evil, it's in your face, it's everything that an album from Hooded Menace should be, with enough extremely subtle twists and turns to keep the veterans motivated. I love it. It's just pure dumb death doom fun. Check it the fuck out. 4 out of 5. Great fucking record. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown e-fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.